The existence of demons has been debated for centuries, with some believing they are malevolent supernatural entities that prey on the weak and vulnerable. Others argue that demons are nothing more than figments of our imagination. Welcome back. We have some interesting stories for you today, created by an overactive mind seeking to explain the unexplainable. But what if the truth lies somewhere in between? A recent survey found that 38% of Americans believe in demonic possession. Dr. Richard Gallagher is a psychiatrist and assistant clinical professor of psychiatry at New York Medical College. He has written several books on the topic of demonic possession and exorcism. Letty's traveled to South Africa, where a young woman known only as Nomusa, where an alleged witch doctor has confessed to the murder of 5 women. There are plenty of stories and beliefs to go around. And that's all the time we have for today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit subscribe. Until next time, remember to keep an open mind and stay curious. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the unknown, and we'll see you next time on Demonology. Barbecue. According to authorities, the suspect, identified only as Barbecue, confessed to killing the women in cold blood. He admitted to cutting off the heads of 4 of the victims and then boiling them before disposing of their bodies in a nearby river. Barbecue's arrest came after a manhunt involving a police force of about 200 officers. The motive behind the killings is still unclear, but authorities are investigating whether witchcraft was involved. Interestingly, this case is not an isolated one. In Haiti, there have been several incidents of mob violence against alleged witches and sorcerers. In 2012, for example, a woman was burned to death in Port-au-Prince after being accused of practicing witchcraft. These killings highlight the dangers faced by those accused of practicing witchcraft in some parts of the world. They also raise questions about the role of mental health and societal beliefs in such crimes. As investigations continue, we may learn more about the motives behind these horrific killings and the broader context in which they occurred. Was accused of being a witch and murdered after being paraded through the streets while people threw stones at her. This tragic incident occurred in September of 2022 when Nomusa was just 20 years old. According to reports, she was already serving a suspended prison sentence for assault at the time of her death. The mob dragged her outside and paraded her through the streets while beating her with sticks and stones. Nomusa tried to run away, but they caught up with her and continued to beat her until she lost consciousness. Sadly, she was pronounced dead at the scene and her body was left lying in the street. Local police have arrested 3 suspects in connection with the mob justice killing. This horrific incident highlights the dangers of mob justice and the importance of due process. It also sheds light on the prevalence of witchcraft accusations in some communities. Dr. Gallagher believes that demonic possession is a real phenomenon and that it can happen to anyone. He argues that the symptoms of demonic possession are often similar to those of mental illness, which can make it difficult to distinguish between the two. However, he believes that there are key differences that can help to identify true cases of possession. Dr. Gallagher has conducted interviews with individuals who he believes are possessed, and he has even performed exorcisms himself. His work has been featured on television shows such as The Oprah Winfrey Show and Larry King Live. Dr. Gallagher believes that the media often sensationalizes the topic of demonic possession and that this can lead to fear and misunderstanding. He argues that it is important to approach the topic with an open mind and to be respectful of those who believe in demonic possession. Dr. Gallagher's work has been controversial, but he remains the leading expert on the topic of demonic possession and exorcism. This is higher than the 31% of Americans who believe in ghosts and 26% who believe in aliens. It is important to note that belief in demonic possession is more common in certain religious or spiritual communities. For example, a study found that 78% of self-described born-again Christians believe in demonic possession. She would frequently wake up in the middle of the night screaming and thrashing about. Furniture was overturned, pictures were torn off the walls, and strange symbols were drawn on the floor. According to a Pew Research Center survey conducted in 2014, 4% of Americans said that they or someone they know well had been the victim of demonic possession. Another 15% said that they or someone they knew had experienced something that could be interpreted as a supernatural event, such as seeing a ghost or being haunted. While these numbers may seem small, They indicate that a significant portion of the population believes in the paranormal. In fact, belief in the paranormal is not uncommon around the world. A 2005 study found that 64% of people in Great Britain believed in at least one paranormal phenomenon, such as ghosts or clairvoyance. Similarly, a 2012 study found that 83% of Filipinos believed in at least one supernatural being, such as an evil spirit or a guardian angel. Belief in the paranormal can vary widely depending on factors such as religion, culture, and personal experiences. However, it's clear that a significant portion of the population believes in supernatural phenomena, including demonic possession. He found his sister standing in the middle of the mess, ranting and raving. When he tried to calm her down, she turned to him with a look of pure hatred on her face and screamed at him in a voice that sounded like it was her own. Michael called 911 and Emily was taken to the hospital where she died a few days later under mysterious circumstances. The police ruled out foul play, but the case remains unsolved and many believe that Emily was the victim of demonic possession. At first, her family and friends assumed that these episodes were simply the result of bad dreams. However, as time went on and the frequency of these incidents increased, it became clear that something else was at play. Emily's behavior started to change. She became withdrawn and reclusive, often staying in her room for days on end without eating or drinking. She also started to exhibit strange behaviors such as speaking in a different voice and moving in unnatural ways. Her family was deeply concerned and took her to see a psychiatrist who diagnosed her with schizophrenia. Emily was prescribed medication, but it had little effect on her symptoms. In fact, things seemed to worsen over time. What if there are some things that science cannot explain away as mere delusion or psychosis? That's what we're going to be exploring today. I am your host, and you are listening to Demonology. In 2003, Emily Rose was a young woman who had been plagued by nightmares since childhood. One night, Emily's brother Michael returned home from college to find their house in chaos. Do you believe in demonic possession? Now let's take a look at this topic from the perspective of an expert. What do the statistics say for our next story? And now let's turn to another part of the world for our next story. Let's head over to Haiti. While the existence of demons remains a mystery,